This is Australia's best-selling vehicle that's not a ute. Of course, it's a Toyota RAV4, and mainstream Australia responds to the way it drives, its packaging, its design, and its pricing. But what if I was going to tell you that there's a mid-size SUV electric vehicle that promises similar virtues for not much more? Presenting the Leapmotor C10. Sorry? Presenting the Leapmotor C10.
First off, who exactly is Leapmotor again? I'm glad you asked. Established in 2015, Leapmotor is a startup brand from China. Its first model, the S01 Coupe, went on sale in 2019, followed by the T03 City Car a year later and the C01 Sedan in 2022. Today, the company offers a handful of pure EVs and EV range extender models, some of which will be distributed globally by Euro-American automotive giant Stellantis through a 2023 partnership deal. Of course, Stellantis owns Jeep, Fiat and Alfa Romeo cars, so expect at least some of the dealers to sell Leapmotor vehicles across Australia. The C10 will be arriving sometime during November in two grades, from about $45,000 before on-road costs. Exact pricing will be revealed sometime in October. We already know that standard equipment is pretty generous, with a panoramic glass roof, dual zone climate control with heat pump, electric front seats, this 14.6-inch central screen and surround view cameras included. Plus, there's a full suite of driver assist safety tech. And though not as yet tested, Leapmotor is counting on a 5-star ANCAP crash test rating. Frankly, with such sharp pricing, the C10 is aimed at any family SUV, be it petrol, diesel, hybrid or EV. So that means anything from a RAV4, Nissan X-Trail, Hyundai Tucson and BYD Seal 6 to the BYD Atto 3, Tesla Model Y and Kia EV6 EVs. Yep, Leapmotor isn't hanging around and is pulling out all stops to catapult over the opposition.
Now that's a rapid development. The C10 is sized somewhere between a RAV4 and a Toyota Kluger, so it's a bit larger than your regular mid-size SUV. Design-wise, it's fairly generic, but very neat, very clean, and quite aerodynamic. The nose has a blunt look, which I think gives it a bit of a face, while the rear is definitely Porsche Macan. Now that's no surprise since China is Macan's biggest market. It sits on a fairly long wheelbase, and the electric motor is located on the rear axle, meaning that this is a rear-wheel drive application. As I said, it's quite neat and it's quite spacious, and that, of course, pays dividends for families seeking a roomy 5-seater. So let's check out the interior. Let me just jump back on this to do so. So first of all, you need to tap this in order to get inside. That's fine. Actually, I've just locked it. So you've got to tap that to get inside, but you can't do it on the curbside. So that's one demerit point against this car. But once inside, you'll see that this is a pretty spacious and stylish interior. Come around and have a look. Leapmotor's interior is pretty generic, like you've seen this all before. Large central touchscreen, a driver display right here, and they're both digital, they're both multi-configurable, and they're both crystal clear. It's worth pointing out that the central touchscreen has a very fast and powerful brain, so things change really quickly and easily, and it's fairly logical, if a little bit confusing at first. Things I don't like about this include the fact that you have to go into a couple of menus to change the exterior mirrors, and you do that by pressing a few things here and then using the steering wheel spokes. So I'm no fan of that, but I do like the driving position. There's a lot of plastic leather look covering inside this vehicle, which gives it an upmarket look, although it might get a bit clammy, and it's super well equipped, as I said earlier in the prices and specification section. Good amount of space, lots of storage, cup holders for all. There's more storage down here. There's USB outlets, just your typical medium-sized SUV in the 2020s. But the back seat is where things start getting interesting. So check out the back with me. Oh, before I get to the back seat, if you take the headrest out and you slide this seat forward, this turns into a part-time bed situation. So if you're out camping or, you know, heaven forbid you run out of electricity, you can use this as a comfy bed. I can spend minutes asleep like this. Anyway, let's go to the back seat and I'll show you what the real virtue of this car is. Okay, exiting and entry is really easy. A large aperture, the fact that you're high up, there's 180 millimeters of ground clearance. And once you're back here, this is my driving position and I'm 178 centimeters tall. So there's a fair whack of space for my knees. Headroom's good, even though there is a glass roof fitted to both of the models. This seat reclines slightly and it's quite comfortable. Like it's softly sprung. There's enough width for most Australian families' needs, and all your typical amenities are here. Face level vents, USB ports, a couple of cup holders, of course the ubiquitous folding armrest, headrests, and even grab handles, which actually not all electric SUVs with a panoramic roof have. So that's a good result. However, you do pay a small price for all this room out here in the back when you go to the luggage area, and I'll explain that in a moment. In fact, I'll explain that right now. Okay, the C10 it doesn't have a kick function, but it does have an electric tailgate, which is good. And there is a fair amount of usable space back here, but because this is a Chinese car, they've prioritized back seat space, which means you don't get quite as much luggage space as you might get in, say, I don't know, a CRV or that sort of thing. So there's at least 400 litres of VDA luggage capacity here. There's quite a sizable area here for you to hide things like laptops and I don't know, whatever. Unfortunately, you don't get a spare wheel either. You get a tyre repair kit. So good luck with that out on the country road in the rain. But at least Leapmotor is thoughtful enough to provide separate storage for your many cables and that sort of thing. And of course, as I said earlier, there is an electric motor underneath. So I'll get into some detail now in terms of power and torque outputs.
The C10 offers 160 kilowatts of power and 320 Nm of torque delivered to the rear wheels. Initially at least, Australian-bound C10s will come with the larger of two battery packs available elsewhere, offering a WLTP range of 420 kilometres. There's also a plug-in hybrid range extender EV planned, combining a 1.5 litre 4-cylinder petrol engine with a 26 kilowatt hour battery pack for around 150 kilometres of pure EV range. The Leapmotor suspension, which consists of McPherson-style struts up front and a multi-link arrangement out back, has been tuned by none other than Stellantis luxury brand Maserati. Plus, for faster charging capabilities, the C10 uses an 800-volt electrical vehicle architecture and features cell-to-chassis engineering, which integrates the battery pack within the platform structure for substantially improved strength, rigidity and packaging that in turn benefit vehicle safety, dynamic control, ride comfort and interior space.
So much for the outputs. Unfortunately, we haven't had a chance to drive it just yet, but come January next year, we're going to find out exactly if this car meets its promising specifications and packaging and design brief. But as it stands, it's an intriguing proposition, especially at its sub $50,000 pricing. So don't forget to stay tuned to carsguide.com.au to find out more about the intriguing Leapmotor C10. And as usual, thanks for watching.